Hi everyone and welcome back to another Monday guide. In today's episode I will talk about my favorite land mechanic, Entrenchment. And the reason why I love this so much is because it basically turned my entire front line into a static wall or some kind of World War I trench system that no one can penetrate, so I can focus all my energy and micro into what really matters in this game, and that is of course Navy. Big boats with big guns. So, if you love Navy like I do, then Entrenchment is your best friend, so you can ignore the land warfare part of the game. So, jokes aside, I will focus on 4 things you didn't know about Entrenchment. So, let's get started. Alright, so let's start with the basics. What is Entrenchment and what does it do? So, Entrenchment is basically something that builds up over time if you stand still with the unit and if you have the Entrenchment stat. And it usually starts very low and then you can give it some buffs and stuff and then it builds up. So, it can get to some crazy high levels. And a common misunderstanding is that Entrenchment is only a defensive stat, but it's not. It gives you buffs on all your stats if you're defending with Entrenchment. So this defending unit here, the Polish one, is mine. And I have 114.4 in Entrenchment, which is crazy high. And as you can see, it gives my soft attack a buff as well, and my hard attack, and the same goes to the defense. So across the board, I get really high stats thanks to Entrenchment. Alright, so the big question, how do you get this up as high as possible? So how do you get it to 114 that I had in this battle, which is, yeah, it's a lot. It's not, I mean, you can get it higher, but it's very high in the first place. So the easiest way to look at it, how the stats in the game fall out and how they actually end up on 114 in this example, is to take a unit and then you hover the entrenchment bar that's built up here, that it's maxed out now. And then you can see here, the base maximum is 5. And then you have everything adding on under there with some actual stats. And then you have some modifiers at the bottom with the plus 10% and plus 30%. So let's take it from the top and walk it through. And then you can get some inspiration of how to build up very high entrenchment. So the first one is, actually, I'm gonna jump a little bit in this line now because we're gonna start with the ones I like the most. So the first one I want to show is Ambusher, and it's this general trait that gives an additional max entrenchment plus 5, and it's not 5%, but it's a 5 base stat, which can get multiplied later on with some modifiers as well. And the thing is that many doesn't know is that you could have this ambusher both on your field marshal and on your general, and they are additive, so there's no reduction to the field marshal, but they are pure adding up, which is kind of crazy. So you can see this guy here, he has it, he has the ambusher trait, and then my field marshal here as well, he also has the ambusher trait. So that's an additional 5 plus 5, and then on top of that, my field marshal, he's also old guard, which gives him an additional 1. So if we go back to this division, that explains the, okay, I'm gonna slaughter these names, but Marian Kukiel 5, that's the general, and Lushan Zeligowski, sorry Polish people, that's another, the 6 over there. So that's those two figured out. Before moving on to the next part, I just want to say that if you like what we do, you can always subscribe to the channel. Then you would receive a new guide from me and Boppus every Monday in your notification feed. And if you want to elevate yourself to a man above men and become a Patreon, not only would you receive our endless love to the end of times, you would also access a full archive of Patreon exclusive guides. I think it's 42 right now, and then you will also receive an additional one every second week. Access to Discord and chat with all of us, and yeah, some other bits and bobs. And shout out to all of you, our patrons. You are the reason that this circus of nerdery is still on the road. So thank you so much for your support. Tools figured out. Yeah, and then we have Roman Abraham plus 7, the top one. So let's go to that one, and that is this guy down here. So that's another general or field marshal that has this. I mean, well, let's find him. He's probably here somewhere. Roman, where are you? There we go. So Roman Abraham. This guy has the defensive doctrine, max first of all, as a field marshal. And then you give him this one afterwards. That's what it requires defensive doctrine to be able to take this one, and then you level him up to get the genius, and then you have the additional 7. And then you can pick him as a chief of army. So that's actually, well, actually that's 2 in 1, because the defensive doctrine, that's the 30% in the bottom as we saw as well. So let's take that one right away. So the 30% down there is coming from the field marshal's defensive doctrine. Yes, and then we have another very sneaky one, which is also like something is easy to overlook, and that is if you look at a division. It's okay. Let's take a regular division here. So this division has now 5.9 in entrenchment. So that's kind of the same kind of stats that we just looked at. That's equivalent to the field marshal I had with 6, for example. And that is coming out of the engineer company that we have here. And that is added thanks to all of these infantry battalions. The thing is that if we add more battalions, that base stat just increases. So the higher or the more of these we have, the more entrenchment we got. So that's why I created this monster with a lot of infantry divisions. It's not an optimal division, but I just want to max out entrenchment to get it up to 11. And then I also swapped the regular engineer company to this we call it armored engineer company, because that gives you also even higher entrenchment. So this division has 11 in entrenchment, which is, yeah, it's very high. But it's not optimal, so it's just a meme, basically. And then you can also have the spirit, which is also a multiplier. So static, warfare, both gives you entrenchment speed and max entrenchment. And max entrenchment is what we're looking for here right now. So that's the second modifier at the bottom of this guy. So I think we've been through everything. We have the chief of army. No, and yeah, of course, the doctrines as well. So if you go into the doctrines, Grand Battle Plan is the one that gives him the most entrenchment. At the very first one, it gives you max entrenchments plus 10, which is very, very powerful in itself. So like Mass Assault Doctrine, it has 5 entrenchment down here. Yeah, and the other ones, I'm not even sure if they have any entrenchment. I don't think so. I haven't looked now. But the Grand Battle Plan, that's the one. Like, so even the first one is extremely powerful from a defensive perspective. And it is basically what it sounds like, trench warfare. You dig in well-fortified positions. So let's see if there's anything I missed. Yeah. And then some countries as well, in their national focus trees, they might have some entrenchment somewhere hidden in trees as well. I just recommend you to, if you go into country, just search for entrenchment, and then it might pop up in some countries. So if we, for example, look at the German one, the German tree. Yeah, there we go. Max entrenchment plus 10% modifier. So that's what the Germans have, for example. So there are some stuff in some of the trees that gives additional entrenchment as well. And that is basically how you can get up to these crazy high levels. And if you have, I mean, a really high soft attack stat from the start or hard attack stat, and then get like an additional 80 to 120 entrenchment on top of that, that is extremely, extremely powerful, as that just modifies all your stats in the battle. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about entrenchment speed. And that is, as soon as a unit stops moving, then it will start building entrenchment. And the entrenchment speed is how quick it builds up to the maximum. But the first thing to know is that the maximum takes longer time the more you have. So if let's take an example. So if I move this unit that has 114 as a max, and then I take this one and move it, and then I stop that unit, and then these two, and then let's hold it there we go. So you see this one, the horse, that has a maximum of 84 entrenchment. That will take now 23.7 days to get fully entrenched. This one, the other one that has a maximum of 114, it will take 32.76 days. So it takes longer the higher it is. And how long it takes, you can see, or how quick the daily gain is, you can see at the bottom. So everyone has a base gain of 1. And then you can have modifiers, and you find the modifiers a bit everywhere. You can have advisors, spirits, doctrine, yeah, and so on. So there's a lot of things how you can modify this. But yeah, you find it basically at the same place you find the ones to build up the maximum. Yeah, so that's how that works. And then also a tooltip or something that to have in mind is that if you see here on the map, you see a shield here next to each division. If the shield is hollow, that means it's not fully entrenched. And if you hover it, you can see here how much it is right now. So this one is at 3% and the maximum of 114. If I hover this one and it's filled out, that means it's maxed out. So this unit is entrenched to 100% out of 100. So hollow and full, that's like the quick visual aspect of fully entrenched. All right, so let's talk a little bit about using and getting rid of entrenchment. So this is the nitty-gritty details of it. But basically, if you move a unit in any way, shape, or form, it will get rid of entrenchment. And you don't even have to move it fully. You just have to move it just for an hour in the game. So if I move this now, and if I stop, it's still there because it's paused. But if I unpause, move, stop, got rid of it. So you really can't misclick any units because then you get rid of all your entrenchment right away. And the same goes for attacking. So if this unit is fully attacked, fully entrenched, if I attack and then I stop, I got rid of the entrenchment as well. And the same goes for support attack. So if I attack with this one, no, so that's a bad example. If I attack with this one and then I support attack, you can see this one also got rid of their entrenchment. So that's, yeah, any form or shape you get rid of entrenchment. And then there is one way to be able to attack and keeping your entrenchment, and that is if you have a general with commando skirmisher, then you can use probing attack. So let's do that. So if I take, yeah, probing attack, it's this one. I activate it, boom. Then you can see everyone on this general now has probing attack activated. So it's not a timer on it, it's just activated until I deactivate it. It gives me minus 20% attack, but that means that right now I can right click, attack, test someone's defense, stop, and I'm still fully entrenched. I can do the same here, attack, stop, still fully entrenched. With that said, if I do break through and the unit actually moves there, then I get rid of it. But it's a way to test the defense and not risk-free attack, so to speak, without getting rid of your entrenchment. You still lose your organization, so it's still risky in that way. But yeah, anyways. And then a third way, and this is the most common way in multiplayer to get rid of an entrenchment, and that is using spy network to remove entrenchment. So just to show you right now, the German player here is building a spy network in the south. It's building up, so it's only at 14% right now. But that means that if I go over to the Polish units that are effective right now, it's spreading from the south. You see that this unit looks like it's fully entrenched, and it says 84. But if I click on it, and I hover down here, you see that it's actually right now minus 0.7%, not percent, fixed amount. So, and here's the tricky part, and this is capped. If they build spy network to 100%, then it caps at a place. I can't remember if it's 5 or whatever it is. It's somewhere it caps. So they can only remove so much, one player. But if they're allies, so let's say Italy does this and then Romania does this on me as well, then that all is additive. So they can all remove a certain amount of entrenchment from me. So they could, in theory, remove all my entrenchment. And that happens in multiplayer all the time. That everyone attacking on the Eastern Front puts spy networks everywhere, and then the Soviets have 0 entrenchment everywhere, basically. So that's how you can remove an entrenchment. And also, a lot of multiplayer communities have rules against this as well, or they mod it away. All right, so as some kind of summary or conclusion, that entrenchment is basically super, super powerful, and it doesn't only give you a defensive boost, it also gives you your offensive stats, like soft attack or hard attack is being buffed when defending if you have entrenchment. So it's crazy powerful on all your stats defensively. So with that said, there are like two Achilles heels, and the first one is spy networks that removes it or can remove it completely if multiple countries are doing it on you at the same time on the same front section. There are of course places in the maps where it's difficult to build spy network, so you can't really do it, like some islands or yeah, and so on. But that's one way to remove entrenchment, and the other one is then of course that it's not the way to remove it, but it takes a lot of time to build it up. So if someone makes a breakthrough on your line, you don't have any entrenchment when you meet up with units. So basically, it's always a good idea to plan ahead with defensive positions, like natural obstacles in the terrain, rivers, forests, mountain lines, and so on. Take a unit, like a few units always, and build up like a new defensive line behind where you think they might break through your opponent. So you have some units already well entrenched in a new position. So other units can come there and build up while the other ones are already entrenched. Yeah, but basically I love entrenchment, and if it's up to me, you should remove the rules about spy network in all multiplayer games so everything is awesomely entrenched. Yeah, but that's only me. So yeah, until next time, guys. Thank you.